We want now to format this web page using an external style sheet. But this style sheet must apply not only on the generality of the page, like background color, margin, and so on, but it must also be applied to paragraphs. For example, here on the title of the page. So I would like to have my title to the right of the page with a font which is different from the body text. This paragraph, for instance, is a citation for me, so it would have to be in italics, for example. So we will see that thanks to a style sheet, we can act on an entire HTML page. First, we begin the work using the File menu here and the New option. We will choose blank page and CSS in the next dialog box and click on the Create. Okay. So a new style sheet appeared. We will create with the Style CSS tab here and the icon New CSS Rule. So we will create the body tag here, which tag is there to manage the entire page. The selector is a selector tag, as I act on an existing HTML tag. So I choose here the body and I press on OK. So let me define the fonts. Here in the category type, so we can choose here the font, which will be Verdana, Geneva or sans serif, depending on the presence or the absence of these fonts on the user's computer. But the font will always be Verdana, Geneva or sans serif. So we will choose 12 pixels high and a dark blue color like this one. So this is a normal font because we don't want it is written bold, and we are in normal style here, meaning that we don't want it is written in italics or otherwise. So we will now define, using the block category, the alignment of our font. This font will be left align, here left align, right. We will now modify the background color. So let's take a light background here, recalling, for instance, the sea here. We will take something very light and OK. Then I press OK. So we can also adjust the margins here. So I type M to have here the margin. So for the bottom margin, I double click on bottom margin and I take a 20 pixel for the margin. I don't forget to add a semicolon at the end of the CSS handed rule. After I press on the enter key, so I select margin left here and I choose 50 pixels and semicolon and so on. So M margin right 50 pixels, and for margin top 20 pixel, and I don't forget to add a semicolon. So I can click here on the actualize key. Okay. Then I will now take care of managing the selectors H1, H2 and H3. So I click here after the brace. So what are these selectors? The selectors H1, H2 and H3 are selectors usually used to manage the text levels. For instance, the H1 selector is generally used to manage the page's title. The H2 selector can be used for a subtitle or an intertitle. The H3 selector can be used for sub, intertitles, etc. So we can also create custom selectors. For example, I will create in a moment a custom selector so that my citation is in a different format than the text body. So I will add a new rule, which is a tag rule here. So insert a new rule, which is a tag rule here. And I can choose here the name of the selector. So here I want to manage the H1 selector, so I click here H1. So I click OK. Then the title of my page will be in a different font, for instance Arial, Helvetica or sans serif font. So the font size will be 4 pixels greater than the text body. Then we choose a 16 pixel high. The font weight will be bold, and the font style will be normal, and we choose a blue color for the title, like that. Then, thanks to the block category, we will choose a right align text. So I define the different rules that will take into account the H1 titles. So I press OK to validate. Right. But now I will add a new rule to manage intertitles. So these intertitles are always tags. Select tag here, and the selector is H2. And I press OK. With this H2 tag, I will work in Arial here. The title are 16 pixel high, the body 12 pixel high, and the enter title 14 pixel high. So the font weight will be normal, and the font style normal too. I will choose a color, for instance this blue one, so we can change at any time if it is not appropriate. Then with the block category we will align the intertitle to the left, for instance, and we can add a background color if we want. Here. So I click on OK. So my intertitle is ready, and now I will create a custom selector to manage the citation. So I click here, enter. So I create a new CSS rule, so I can actualize here. So here I can create a new CSS rule, and this time I don't select the body tag, a tag, but a class. So a class is a selector that can apply to any HTML element of my page. Then I will create a class that I will name as I want, because no name was previously selected. So I call this class site. So when you create a class, it is advisable to give meaningful names, because when you go back 6 months later, your style sheet So when you go back 6 months later on your style sheets, it is easier to rereading. So then I choose the name site and click on OK. And I will define for the citation some rules. So the citation will be in Verdana, Geneva, sans serif, with a size of 12 pixels, a font height normal, and the citation will be in italics and with a color which is slightly different than the text body. Text body, I think it's this one here, and then okay. So with the block category, so I will align the text on the left and I press OK. I can also shift my citation, and here I can add margin to the left of 100 pixels. So here I add a margin, and with the margin left I double click here and I type a margin of 100 pixels. Okay. So now I defined my style sheet for the page body, the titles, the enter titles, and for the citations. We'll now save this file using the File menu, Save option. So we will name it Complete Style, or any other name you want, with the extension .css. So the extension .css indicating that it is a style sheet. Then I save the file and I go back to my HTML page, and here obviously nothing has changed. It's normal because the HTML page is not linked to the CSS page. We will now link this HTML page using always the Style CSS tab and the link a style sheet K. We click here, then we can browse and we will link the file complete style CSS. We click on OK, and we link, so another one here, complete. It doesn't want, so it's not a problem. So then OK, or here maybe complete style dot CSS, and OK. So you can see that instantaneously my layout is done. Now the generality is applied, the text color, the margins, the background color, but now I want to lay out the title. Then I select the title here, and I want to apply in the format area of the header 1 so I want to apply in the format area the header 1 because it corresponds to the title of my page. The header 2 corresponding to the intertitle, etc., etc. So I click on the header 1 and my title receives the presentation I defined in my style sheet here. So you can see that my title is right aligned, and the font is an Arial font with 16 pixel high, etc., etc. So we will find this here. Now let us select our citation. So I select my citation and I will apply on my citation thanks to the CSS key. So I will select in the rule target the word site, CSS. In the rule target here, the name site, which is the name of the class I created, and instantaneously site applies, and you can see that we find the margin that we add, plus here the italics and the color change. So finally we will apply on the intertitle thanks to the HTML key in the format area the header 2, and now for instance here I have an intertitle, here intertitle 2, then I select this intertitle, and in the properties window in the HTML key, so I can apply here the header 2. Okay. So we can now, thanks to our style sheet, change anything. For instance, the precursors, I would like to put it in red. So I just need to return to my style sheet and to take the H2 style here, and now type for the color here FF 0000. Then I can actualize, and so automatically my web page changed. So you can see that if you have 50 or 100 pages in your website, all the intertitle header 2 will be automatically written. So you can see the power of the style sheet. So it can entirely format a website by only acting on the style sheet. So we have seen in this video how to create an external style sheet able to manage the text of an HTML page and also to manage the general layout of this page.